The Last Voyage of the Demeter was directed by Andre Overdahl and distributed by Universal Studios. Now, the story of this film is based off the chapter The Captain's Log from Bram Stoker's novel Dracula, in which the infamous vampire himself is terrorizing the captain and crew of the ship known as the Demeter, which is currently transporting him from Romania to England. So The Last Voyage of the Demeter was one of my most anticipated films of 2023. I am a huge fan of the Universal Studios monsters. I have collected quite a bit of the movies. I try to watch them around once a year, especially for Halloween. I've even collected the book series featuring the Universal Studios monsters that was published by Dark Horse. So anytime Universal Studios comes out with another film featuring one of their classic monsters, I am already subscribed. I'm sign me up. I will be there opening weekend, which I was for this film. And as an added bonus, this is the second film that we got this year that featured one of the Universal classic monsters, Dracula, with Renfield being the first one that came out months prior to this one. I have seen Renfield, and I am fully planning to review that one, but for now we're going to focus on The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Now, just as a heads up, there may be some things that I discuss in this review that might potentially be mild spoilers. I'm going to try my very best not to give away anything too big, but I did want to give you guys that warning because there are some things that I wanted to discuss that might be potential spoilers. So there is your warning. But with that said, guys, let's do this.
So starting off with the pros, I'm going to say that I thought this film was very impressive visually. You could definitely tell that there was a lot of work and care put into the cinematography. Whether it be on land or sea, I thought the visualization and effects really helped bring you into this story. I thought the score was fantastic. The music really captured the tone of the film. Regardless of the scene, each note played was on point with what was happening on the screen. And it wasn't until after I saw the film that I realized the score was composed by Bear McCreary. I personally enjoy his work. He is a fantastic musician who has composed some great music for film and TV, for such things such as Outlander, The Walking Dead, and more. The film had a great cast, featuring actors such as Liam Cunningham as the captain of the Demeter, Corey Hawkins as Mr. Clemens, the ship's doctor, Aisling Franciosi as Anna, who I'll talk more about in just a bit, and David Dastmalchian as Wojciech, the first mate. If you read the book Dracula, then you already know, or at least have a good idea what's going to happen to everybody aboard that ship. But despite that, the actors did a great job in getting you invested in these characters and made you sympathize with them, at least in my case. The story is both very brutal and dark, and the cast I thought just further sold on how tragic their situation was. Now again, Aisling Franciosi played a character named Anna, who once lived in a Transylvanian village that Dracula terrorized, and she did a great job with her performance, but I did notice that she was mainly there for exposition, as she is the only one who knows of Dracula. But even then, while she knows Dracula and how much of a threat he is, she doesn't have much other knowledge about him other than that, and didn't really offer much to the story other than exposition. And speaking of which, let's finally talk about Dracula. I mean, he is pretty important to the story, so why not, right? He was played by Javier Botet. I apologize if I mispronounced his name, but I thought his portrayal was very unique and interesting. It's definitely not the typical representation of Dracula that we're used to. This version was more of a demon-like vampiric creature than a suave and sophisticated count with a nice suit and a black cape. And except for a few menacing grins here and there, he doesn't really interact with the other characters. I mean, except for when he's attacking them, and he doesn't really say much except for a couple of lines. And I honestly enjoyed that. I like that we get something a little out of the norm, and I just think it makes a little more sense for him to be more reserved because, honestly, these people are just meals for him, so there's really no reason for him to start conversations with anyone, and it kind of portrays him more as a mysterious, monstrous form that the other characters have little understanding about. But while we're on the topic, let's go ahead and bring up some of the cons of this film. Now again, while I thought this portrayal of Dracula was very unique, I didn't really find him that scary. I felt like Dracula was shown a little more on screen than I originally expected. And for me personally, I felt like that killed a little bit of the suspense. There were a couple of scenes where you see Dracula move in the shadows or just stand there very still in the darkness, and I thought that was a little more effective. But there were some scenes where he was plain in sight before he attacked, and again that made those particular scenes a little anticlimactic. Now, don't get me wrong, the effects were great when he did attack, but some of those scenes were just a little bit predictable. Now, when it comes to the story, I thought it was pretty straightforward. If you go into this film just wanting to see Dracula terrorize people on a boat, then that's exactly what you'll get. But other than that, I didn't think there was really anything exciting that was added to this story, except for the ending, which I will admit, and again, a mild spoiler here, but the film threw an ending in there that I actually didn't see coming. I was a little mixed about it though. I didn't find it good or bad. It really just left me with questions like, is this not following the novel, or is this a new take on the Dracula story, or could this possibly be a story within a story that happens at the same time as the events of the novel? But other than those little nitpicks, I do recommend you check out this film. It is a pretty unique take on the Dracula story, but just don't expect it to find it too scary. But the film does deliver on what you're paying for, and the effects, acting, and score were very well done, and I'm going to give The Last Voyage of the Demeter a B. But if you guys saw it, what did you think? Either way, please post your thoughts down in the comments, and I appreciate you all checking out my review. I hope you all enjoyed it and found it helpful. I got more film reviews coming, so please subscribe if you'd like to stay updated when those reviews are posted. I'll see you next time.